How much time have you spent thinking about how your Dungeons and Dragons character is going to grow and evolve over time as they gain XP and level up? If you're playing Pathfinder, I know you've been going over all your options for like feat at each level and whatever TTRPG you are playing. If you're a caster, I bet you sunk a lot of time into selecting your spells. And if you're watching something like this, you're probably thoughtful about, where your next ability score increase is going. And if your next level, you're thinking about how your different skills will synergize with each other, or even more advanced, how what your character can do kind of lines up with and fills the gaps when you consider the rest of the party. And that is awesome. I love that stuff. I do. Now, let me ask you, how much time have you spent thinking about how your character is going to grow and evolve as a character? Not just the mechanics, but like the story side of the game. We've all got our preferences for fluff versus crunch, and it might not be obvious at first, but I'm a pretty crunchy guy myself in more ways than one. But I don't think there are many of us out there that are like 100% one way or the other. I mean, even if you like to optimize and make powerful characters, you also want to have those characters be memorable and have those epic, fulfilling moments. Yes, of course you do. So let me ask you another question. How much time have you spent thinking about how your character in D&D or Pathfinder, whatever game you are playing these days, how much time have you spent considering how your character is going to grow and evolve over time as a character? Think about your favorite characters outside of D&D. I bet they leveled up in like depth and personality as they leveled up in power. You want to elevate your game from hack and slash to epic tales of heroism. A good character arc is going to be key. And it doesn't have to be difficult, it doesn't have to be complicated. I've made it even easier by cooking up the Game Master's Compendium of Explosive Creation. When you're building a player character, rolling a d8 and checking the table under your background will get you a very broad path for transformation that should fit based on your character's archetype. And if it doesn't, you can either simply choose another option on the table or watch as your imagination activates and says, hey, you know what could be even cooler? And that's great. Let's do an example this time. Let's take a look at the Acolyte archetype. It's the first alphabetically, and it's like one of the core go-tos, I'd say. Maybe you're rolling up a cleric or a paladin, but I could see some interesting narratives forming out of other classes as well. A devout fighter or like a reformed rogue, maybe a barbarian or like a sorcerer who got kicked out for their, rage or wild magic issues. I hope your imagination's already starting to spark. Let's look at the table. Now, these are the entries I've probably tried to keep the broadest. A character arc isn't happening in like a single encounter or a session. This could take a whole campaign. A core idea in the compendium's creation is to keep things as universal as possible so that you can take this with you as your setting and additions change, but to get as flavorful and specific as possible at the same time so you can really sink your teeth into these things, get the juice out of them. Let's look at the first one, submissive servant to empowered leader. That's interesting. You've got a cleric or a paladin who just kind of goes along with the group at first, saying yes to everything, uncertain when the choices fall on them. Then over time, they gain confidence and start thinking for themselves as they gain more experience, not to mention powers. After some successes, they start spreading the good word of their deity when they get back to town, right? Maybe even get some followers. That could be cool. Now you can probably see already that working with your dungeon master on these types of things is going to make things go way smoother and just be more interesting. And if you are a dungeon master, I bet your wheels are already turning on how you could use this stuff to set up some challenges and opportunities and like narrative beats just based on this relatively compact idea. Let's look at number 2, even more compact, sinner to saint. This would be great for that reformed rogue or like a fighter who's tired of senseless violence. This one feels like it could be a blast to play. And as long as you're, considerate of the social contract at the table, I bet it would even be a ton of fun to play beside. I mean, who doesn't love a good anti-hero? Han Solo or like a Jaime Lannister. I think even like John McClane or Corbin Dallas might fit into this category a bit. It's a good pattern to follow as naturally the party is going to do more and more heroic things as things get higher and higher stakes. This is also a good opportunity to talk about how you can turn these 8 options into 16 by reversing them. Saint to Sinner is also going to be a fun journey to go on, no? Maybe you're practically a pacifist at level 1, but pretty soon you're going to be wading through the blood of your enemies, and maybe it turns out you enjoy it a little bit. And you enjoy carousing in the tavern when you get a little gold in your pockets afterwards. Especially if a campaign is going for a while, your character might be living through a few of these transitions. Maybe they're the saintly, submissive servant to start and become a sinner first, then like round it out and become an empowered leader once they've got their Rumspringa out of their system and they've sown their wild oats. Fun, right? Let's do one more. Number 3 is blind follower to free thinker, and that can be juicy. One, I like the idea of sitting back a bit for those first few sessions, seeing what the DM is presenting, what the other players have brought to the table, so I can figure out how my character can best fit into all of that. Now, if everybody's adopting that same attitude, then you might have to like step up a little bit. But say you've built that sorcerer or barbarian who got kicked out of seminary but is still unquestioningly devoted to the teachings of whatever deity. Well, that's going to be pretty easy to roleplay and get out front with. You don't have to plan out every step of this like transformation, even if you're exchanging ideas between your dungeon master, between sessions every week. I think you should still leave plenty of room for discovery in play at the table. I would write down, blind follower to free thinker on top of my character sheet, and I would look for opportunities to take a step down that road or like drop a breadcrumb. Of course, it depends on the adventure you're playing through and what happens in any given session, but out of the gate, whenever your character drops to 0 HP, has a near-death experience, that's a pretty decent setup for like a transformative moment. And now you're actually looking forward to those moments where you're making death saves. At least you're almost looking forward to them. You start combining these character arcs with like the motivations and calls to adventure that we've been going over in these last couple videos in this series, and you've got a deeply developed character framed out in seconds. Some players might want to take more time with it than that, but it's a great starting off point. And that speed is great when you're running the game and you need to like breathe a little life into an NPC. Suddenly the players have taken an interest in this random character, or there's an important NPC in this adventure, but as written, they're pretty flat and you want them to be like way more engaging so the players actually give a crap about them. Roll 3 dice and boom, you've got a detailed character with a desire and an origin and a direction. I think my favorite part is watching how these connections organically form between those bullet points, filling in details and relationships and just generating more ideas and inspiration. That's the good stuff for me and why I'm always making these tables like this instead of just, listing out the one way to do the thing. The Game Master's Compendium of Explosive Creation is launching on Kickstarter soon and then will be fulfilled through DriveThruRPG. One of our stretch goals is a sort of like universal version of these spreads so you can apply it to just about any character archetype or use it with the tables for the archetype you've got and use it as a kind of multiplier. I can't promise I'll include them as I've already started and have some entries I really like already, but I would love to see people sharing their ideas for transformative character arcs down in the comments below. And while you're down there, please hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, check out the link in the description if you want to pick up some sweet Verdigris table merch. The tri-blend? Pretty nice. Up next, we are going to dive into factions, which quite a few people have asked me about over the years, and it seems some folks out there don't really fully understand them, so they're not using them to their full potential. So I'm going to help you do just that next time. I hope I see you there. Until then, be kind, have fun.